Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog, or welcome if you're new. I'm Melissa. Today's video is going to be, I think, just me talking to you guys for a little bit. I wanted to update you about like kind of what's going on with our family, and I also want to talk a little bit about the hospital coronavirus testing and everything going on right now. If you guys didn't know, well actually here, I'll give a little intro because I know that there's been a lot of new people watching these videos. So yeah, like I said, I'm Melissa, and this is a channel where we vlog our daily life. And I have 5 kids. My husband and I have 5 kids. We live in Northern California, right at kind of like the epicenter of where this all really started taking a turn in California. So just so you guys kind of have that history. If you guys have been watching the vlogs the past week, you know that a couple of us have been showing symptoms of being sick. Now, is it COVID-19? Is it a flu or cold or something else? I don't know. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about and like let you guys know kind of what's happening. Basically it started, let's see, so we're on day, I think 5 of isolation now, where like nobody's in, nobody's out. We're not leaving the house at all. We've been getting groceries delivered. And that's something that I think I want to talk about in another video, because that's like a whole another issue we've been running into in California. And I'm wondering if you guys have that too. But basically what's going on now is that I and my 15-year-old daughter, Gabrielle, have been showing symptoms of being sick. We both have fevers. I started having a cough. She said she's getting headaches. But other than that, she's fairly asymptomatic. She just has like the fevers off and on, and she said that she's had a couple headaches. But for me, I've had the fevers off and on, and I had chills 2 nights ago. But that was it, just like one night I had that. And then I've had a cough, which started two days ago when I called into the doctor. So I wanted to kind of let you guys know what happened when I called in, what they told me, what advice they gave me. And that way, you know, just so you guys can kind of compare if you're having like a similar experience, or like, hey, let me know in the comments if they're turned on. If you've been tested for COVID-19 or like have been to the hospital and seen how kind of things are going around. Basically what happened is I called in to the advice nurse line first because I was told by a friend who works at the hospital not to go in to the hospital if you're showing symptoms. You need to call first, because if you don't have it and you go into the ER, you're likely to get it. If you do have it and you go into the ER and they don't know you're coming, you're likely to give it to other people. So that made sense. That checks out, right? So I call the advice line, right, where you can talk to like a nurse and then get a referral for a doctor. And I talked to 2 nurses actually. So the first day I talked to one nurse in the morning and basically told her my symptoms. And she said to start self-isolating, which we'd already been doing as a family for like a day or 2. So that was already like a thing that was happening. But I told her all my symptoms and she said, okay, just self-isolate. She asked me questions like, are you gasping for breath? Are your lips blue? Can you walk across the room without falling down? Like stuff like that. And basically saying that her advice was monitor symptoms, don't come in, treat symptoms like take Tylenol and stuff for the fever, and only go to the emergency room if you are basically struggling to breathe. Is what they said for me and Gabrielle. So then what happened is later on in the day, I got a call back, talked to another nurse, and I don't know why they called me back. Like it was so weird because like I'd already talked to the first nurse, and then it's like the second nurse called and asked me the same questions all over again. So I talked to the second nurse, and that nurse said kind of the same thing. She said, you know, if you're not struggling to breathe, I had a little bit of tightness in my chest. That was another symptom. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but nothing like really crazy, like struggling to breathe crazy. And I told her that. I was like, yeah, it's a little tight, but it doesn't feel like I can't breathe. My lips aren't turning blue. I can walk across the room. Sorry. I can walk across the room without falling down, and you know, my lips aren't blue. I can breathe. So she said the same thing. I asked her if there was a way to get tested for COVID-19. I was like, I would like to, if I have it, it would be good to know because, you know, being a high risk and having 2 children that are asthmatic that are also higher risk, like, is a big concern for us. And that's something that we would like to know. And she said that that was not possible unless we were admitted into the hospital for having symptoms like she described. And then they said to not come to the hospital until you have symptoms like she described. So basically saying that, like, if you have it and you have a mild case, you just need to stay at home. We're not going to test you. But this is well, the other stuff happened too. I'll get into that in a minute. But basically, like, this is my concern. And I brought this up to her. I said, if we stay at home and we self-isolate the whole family, and maybe this runs through the family, but we don't get tested, how do we know that we had it? Because if we've had it, then I'm sure there's some sort of immunity, right? So, like, once you've had it, once they reopen the world and we can go out in public again, the chances of us recontracting it, I'd imagine, would be pretty low. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. You guys let me know if I'm wrong, but I would imagine that that's how that works. And so I asked her, I said, so if we stay at home, sorry, and self-isolate, how will we know if we've had it? Fair question, right? She said there's no way to tell. They can't test you after and tell you if you had it and recovered from it. And they don't want to test people unless you're in the hospital with, like, critical symptoms. Do you see where I'm going with this? Like, it's very, very, it's crazy. So, like, we're just at home now and we're sick and we don't know what to do. And we don't know if it's that or if it's a cold or what it is. And that's all the advice they're giving us. Is call 911 or get to the hospital if you're literally struggling to breathe, and that's it. So I don't know if this is how it's going at other hospitals in the US or other countries. Like, I'm really not sure. Like, I've seen other countries doing so it's a weird cough, right? I'm seeing other countries do weird, or not weird, but like do drive-through testing. And I think it's weird that I don't really see that happening here in California. Just to give you guys, like, I don't know if I said this, just to give you guys kind of like an update as to what, like, locally, the first patient to pass away from coronavirus in California passed away at the hospital that I'm talking about. Like, that's my hospital. That's where I go. That's where my doctors are. So that's how close we are to this. Like, this is happening. This is, like, in our area. And this is, like, the hospital that treated that patient that passed away. So I asked the nurse if it was possible to talk to a doctor or to get a doctor's appointment. And this is a second nurse now. And the second nurse said, at first she was like, like, I don't really want to refer you to, like, a doctor to whatever for call. But I kind of was, like, pressing her, like, no, I think I'd really like to talk to them because, like, a couple of us are showing symptoms. Like, I don't even really know. I don't feel very educated on what I need to be looking for, really. Like, I'd like to talk to somebody. And so she set up a doctor's appointment over the phone with one of the physicians at the hospital. And when the doctor called me later in the day, I kind of went through the same thing with them. And she basically said that it's insane. Like, basically, like, everything at the hospital is crazy. They don't have enough testing supplies. That's why they're only testing people that come in that are in basically critical condition, struggling to breathe, because they don't have the supplies to be able to test everybody. They're not even testing the nurses. Actually, and I should clarify that the doctor didn't say that. I actually heard that from a nurse that works at the hospital. So just to like clarify that, like, the doctor said that they don't have enough tests, but she did not say that they weren't testing staff, but a nurse did. So basically reiterated the same thing, ran through the questions with me, asked me about my daughter, asked us about symptoms, and couldn't confirm or deny that yes, this is or isn't COVID-19. It sounded like the symptoms that we were having were similar to, like, what a mild case of this could be, which is good, I guess, if it's mild, as long as it doesn't progress into anything worse. But yeah, like, it's just scary because I'm thinking about, like, all the people that are now just, like, potentially they're sick at home, you know, even with a mild case, like what it's looking like potentially might have. And we just don't know. Like, we can't get tested. Our hospitals and, you know, doctors and nurses, everybody is working so hard and they're doing the best they can, but it's just not enough. Like, it's literally just not enough. And then there's people in the community still, even though like our governor's been really good about really trying to shut this stuff down like as soon as possible, and like they're proactively closing things. And you know, all of our schools, most of our schools I think are closed now. Like our kids have been out of school for this last week. Yeah, so it's been like almost a full week that our kids have been out. But I mean, I think that's great. I think that's proactive. I think that's really good at like, what are they saying it? Like flattening the curve of this, because that's all really they can do at this point. But it's really concerning to me that people like us that have high risk people in our family, that me being, I'm one of the high risk people, I'm currently sick. Like my 2 asthmatic children are not the ones that are having symptoms yet. But it's very scary. And I don't really know, like, I don't know what to do. I feel like a lot of it's being set like at the federal government level, and this just is kind of like too little too late for a lot of people. But California is really taking a huge hit right now. And it's very, very scary. And just, I guess I should say like today I'm filming this is March 19th, Thursday, March 19th, just for posterity. I'm really scared to see what happens here in the next couple weeks. Like based on the stuff that I've seen, the graphs I've seen and the data, we're very closely following what happened in Italy. And that's terrifying. So I want to urge you guys to stay safe. And if you can, stay at home. I know I've been saying like on Twitter and Instagram and stuff, like stay home if you can. And I got a lot of people messaging me saying, you know, I work at the grocery store or I work at a job that's not letting me work from home. And so like, I get like you might not be able to stay home, but to the extent that you can, stay home and practice that social distancing that everybody's talking about. Stay at least 6 feet away from anybody else and make sure you're washing your hands. And if you have symptoms, don't continue to go out in public. I mean, that's really all we can do. So I would love to hear what's kind of going on in your guys' area. Like if you don't live in California, or if you live in a different part of California, or another state or country completely. I know everybody is getting kind of conflicting information from like their local governments, as well as like, you know, like I said, in the US we have like state governments and like local county like everything's like local and then state and then federal. So I don't know exactly how it is in other countries, but the information that's getting out there is like some of it conflicts, some of it's like too little too late. And I just think that everybody should be exercising an extreme amount of caution right now, because the last thing we need in the US is for our hospital system to be completely overrun and have unnecessary deaths because of this. So yeah, so just stay safe and do what you can. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, I'm gonna update you guys as to like our symptoms. They've kind of just been staying like plateauing, like with the fevers, and like I have a cough. Gabrielle hasn't had a headache today, but I mean, we'll see what happens with that. I'll let you guys know. I'll probably update over on my Instagram stories and Twitter about that. So if you're not following us over there, I'll maybe put the handles on the screen and link it down in the description box below. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's what I want to talk about, but I just wanted to again urge you guys, stay safe. So yeah, we'll get through this at some point. Just, we really, really need to be careful and do what we can to prevent this from spreading anymore. So, all right guys, I will, I guess, catch up with you in the next video. Talk to you later. Bye.